Stacey Abrams, and I am proud to be in North Georgia fighting for the rights of our children. I was just having a conversation, and someone asked me if I was surprised by the turnout. And my answer was no, because this is the first time I've been to North Georgia. This isn't the first time I've been to North Georgia. And I know that this is the place where progress happens. It doesn't happen in the way that we're used to seeing maybe in the city of Atlanta, but it happens. It happens because you stand up for your families. It happens because you demand truth from your leaders. It happens because we expect more from those we elect. And I'm running for office not for me, but for the young people who deserve better from their elected officials. I met a lot of teachers out here in the area. I talked to a number of retired educators and current educators. Those who've demanded change and not guns in their classroom. Those who demanded investment and not weapons in their classroom. But what I want them to know is that they have raised up a generation of young people who will transform the state of Georgia. Thank you for what you've done. And as someone whose parents taught me to revere education, to go to class every single day, I will tell you that I am the proudest of the D's and F's I have received from the NRA during my 11th year. I'm the only person running for governor who has consistently failed every NRA test, and I intend to continue to be a failure. Because I know that if we want our children to learn, they can't be afraid for their lives. If we want our children to take ownership of their future, they have to know they have one. And that if they have to call us in on a Saturday morning to march for their lives, there's no other place that I would be. But right here, right now, speaking up for them, knowing this is the right thing to do. Now, thank you very much. I have a very tenuous grasp of gravity, so thank you. Now, you may have noticed there have been some cars driving around with some unfriendly folks. Well, I've been a Democrat in the South for a long time, so I don't really care. But this isn't a group that's about partisanship. This is a group that's here about peopleship, about stewardship, about responsibility. And it is our responsibility to ban assault weapons in the state of Georgia. It is our responsibility to demand universal background checks in the state of Georgia. It is our responsibility to repeal campus carry in the state of Georgia. And it is our responsibility to make sure another child doesn't go to school wondering if they're going to be coming home at the end of the day. I was recently in Macon. I was meeting with a group of young people. Jalen Scott, this young student who organized a town hall meeting in Macon. And I met this child, he couldn't have been more than 10 years old, introduced himself to me as a 5th grade gun activist. That is both a beautiful and terrible thing. It is a tragedy that a 10-year-old has to identify himself as a gun activist, a gun safety activist. At 10 years old, you shouldn't be worried about whether or not you're going to die. You should be thinking about being a superhero. You should be trying to figure out which one you want to be, not whether you will be at all. And I talked to him and I talked to his friends about what I would do as the next governor. But there was one young man in the audience named Latravian who pushed back on me. And he said, I worry about guns in the classroom, I worry about guns coming to my school, but I also worry when I go home. I worry about the poverty in my community that leads to illegal guns being as prolific as anywhere else. I worry about the fact that you may care about me in school, but what about my home? What about my community? Gun safety, marching for our lives, is more than simply of banning certain weapons. It's stopping gun violence. It's about creating communities where no violence is necessary. run for my job yet. Because I would vote for every one of them. Because running for office is hard, but standing up and demanding more is harder. And it takes courage. It takes persistence. But it also takes voting with your feet. Frederick Douglass said that he prayed for freedom for 20 years. And it wasn't until he started praying with his feet that it showed up. We've been praying for gun safety in this country for far too long. We've been praying for good people to understand that you can believe in the Second Amendment, but you can believe in all the rest of them too. That you can know how to shoot and know where you should not be shooting. I know how to shoot a gun. I grew up in Mississippi. I know how to shoot. The one thing is, my grandmother who taught me how to shoot a shotgun, my great-grandmother said, only shoot what you plan to eat, and I eat mostly chicken. So. But the reality is, we've spent decades having a false argument about whether it's the right to own a gun or the right to shoot everyone. That's not the argument. The argument is, do you have the right to put other people's lives at risk? The answer is what? No! The question is, do you have the right to put our children's lives at risk? The answer is what? No! Does the NRA have the right to dictate our futures? The answer is no! Does anyone have the right to tell us that our lives don't matter? No! And so we are going to do one thing in November. And before we do, we'll do it in May because I kind of need your help. But if we want to see change in Georgia, if we want to see change in this country, the thing we have to do is vote like your life depends on it. That's what we have to do. When I was 19 years old, I had an amazing opportunity. I was invited to speak at the March on Washington, the 30th anniversary. And I stood on a stage. The crowd was a little bit bigger than this. Although I tell you, I only barely remember it because panic is very real. But what I do remember was the fact that in a sea of thousands of people, it was student voices that were lifted up. Young people's voices that became the clarion call for what we have to do. Because in the history of America, it has always been the voices of the young that have rang out the loudest, that have been the strongest, that have forced us to change who we are. And so for that reason, I want to say thank you, a profound thank you, to the young people who are standing up and demanding that we do our jobs. Protect them now, protect them tomorrow, and make certain that no one ever has to march for their lives again. Thank you so much.